topic is nephritic syndrome. So this is a mind map that I have prepared to explain it to you guys so that it would be easy to understand and while keeping it short. So here's a pathophysiology and here's diagnosis, and these are some other points that are important about nephritic syndrome, and these are some types of nephritic syndrome. So it gets easier when you make a mind map. So I will explain it to you guys now. Nephritic syndrome. So the first point when we hear this nephritic syndrome is, what is nephritic syndrome? So this is basically inflammatory lesions in the glomeruli. Okay, these are inflammatory lesions in the glomeruli. Okay, so now since we know the definition of this, now we need to understand its clinical features. So we have to remember 3 points, and mnemonic for that is H2O. H stands for hypertension, the another H stands for hematuria, and the O stands for oliguria. Okay, so here's a short diagram that I will make. This is a blood capillary, okay, and this is a glomerular basement membrane which is perforated, because initially I told you that there are lesions in the glomeruli. Okay, now here's a tubule. So what happens when there are lesions and there are perforations in the membrane? The proteins and the RBC all starts to come down. Also, one important point to remember here is that here there is limited proteinuria, which is less than 3.5 gram per day, which makes it different from the nephrotic syndrome. Nephritic syndrome, important point is that it is limited proteinuria. What kind of protein comes down? So proteins like albumin, globulin and etc. come down. Okay, with the proteins, RBCs also come down, and with the RBCs, RBC casts are also coming down. And now you must be wondering, what are RBC casts? So when RBCs are coming down, they get stuck in the tubule and they acquire a cylindrical shape. Okay, and when these RBCs are pushed due to the flow, these come down in the cylindrical shape itself, and hence now are called RBC casts. Also, one more point is that RBCs when coming down are not in the biconcave or the regular shape they usually have. They become starry shape. Then you will notice starry shaped RBCs in the diagnosis. Okay, now we have done the clinical features. Now you have understood that hematuria is occurring due to this. Okay, oliguria. Why is there oliguria? Because our kidneys are working so much efficiently now that the GFR decreases. So less urine is being formed, and hence there is oliguria. Now you are also clear with the second point. The third point, hypertension. You can clearly understand why there is hypertension. There is salt retention, there are products, proteins and etc. Also this salt retention plus there is periorbital edema. Okay, you will see periorbital edema because the skin over here is very thin, so it is you can easily get edema over here. So these 3 points are clear now. Also, one more point I would like to mention is azotemia. This is an important term, and what it is. So azotemia, when urea plus creatinine increase in blood, the term is azotemia. So now you are clear with the term azotemia. Now we can check its diagnosis. Okay, how do we diagnose it? We can diagnose it in 3 ways. First, I will like to tell you about biopsy. Okay, then secondly, immunofluorescence, and third is electron microscopy. So what do you find in biopsy is hypercellularity, and secondly you find a lot of neutrophils, because since the complement system is getting activated, the complement system activates this neutrophils. Okay, immunofluorescence, why do we do this? We do this to check immune complex deposition. And thirdly, electron microscopy. Why do we do this? We do this to locate the immune complex, where it is. So immune complexes can be present sub-epithelial, sub-endothelial, or intramembranous. So the location is seen by electron microscopy. So now we are done with the diagnosis, clinical features, and its definition. Now you can see what kinds of other nephritic syndrome. One is post-streptococcus glomerulonephritis. Okay, what is this? This occurs when there is a beta hemolytic streptococcal infection of skin, which is also called impetigo, and pharynx, which you know as pharyngitis. Okay, so this occurs when there is a beta hemolytic streptococcal infection, but it may occur after infection with non-streptococcal organisms as well. So non-streptococcal can also be a cause of it. Okay, now we shall come to the second one, which is rapidly progressing glomerulonephritis, which is also called as crescentic. What are crescentic? I want to know. So crescents are comprised of fibrins plus macrophages. Okay, we see this on staining. We don't usually see it. So we see this on staining, these crescents, and it leads to acute renal failure also. Now the last point I want to mention is Alport syndrome. You must be wondering what is Alport syndrome. It is X-linked, first of all. And how does it occur? It occurs due to inherited defect in type 4 collagen. There is defect in the this is inherited defect in the type 4 collagen. Okay, and it is X-linked commonly. So here's this easy understanding of nephritic syndrome. I hope I made myself clear, and this is a clearer picture of my mind map of nephritic syndrome. You can easily see the triangle where I have mentioned the oliguria, hypertension, hematuria, azotemia, pathophysiology. Diagnosis is easily understood, and there are some other points: Alport syndrome, post-streptococcal, and rapidly progressive. So I hope I made myself understood. Thank you very much.